2 weeks before my wedding, I honestly believed my life was perfect. Adrian, you're smiling like an idiot again, Ryan said, leaning back in his chair at the bar. I'm not smiling like an idiot, I replied. Ryan raised an eyebrow. You've been staring at your phone for 5 minutes. Who are you texting? Emily, I said. He laughed loudly. Of course it's Emily. Dude, you're getting married in 2 weeks. At this point, you two are basically one person. I shrugged but couldn't hide my grin. Ryan lifted his glass. To the luckiest guy I know. I clinked my glass against his. Thanks. Seriously, he continued. Emily's gorgeous, smart, and somehow she tolerates you. Very funny. I'm just saying, he said with a smirk. If she changes her mind, call me first. Not happening. Ryan chuckled. Relax. I'm kidding. But man, I've never seen you this happy. I leaned back in my chair and looked around the crowded bar. You know what? I said quietly. I really am happy. Ryan nodded. Good. You deserve it. That night, when I got home, Emily was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone. Hey, I said, dropping my keys on the table. She looked up and smiled. Hey, you're back. I walked over and kissed her forehead. Ryan says hi. She rolled her eyes. Let me guess. He made another joke about stealing me. Of course he did. She laughed softly. Ryan never changes. I sat beside her. What are you looking at? She turned her phone away slightly. Just wedding stuff. Seating chart again. Yeah, she said quickly. It's a nightmare. I told you we could keep it simple. Adrian, it's a wedding, she replied. Nothing about weddings is simple. I raised my hands. Fair enough. For a moment we just sat there quietly. Then her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and quickly stood up. Who's that? I asked. Just work, she said. At 10 at night. Marketing never sleeps, she joked. I laughed, but something about the moment felt strange. She walked into the kitchen to answer the call. I could hear her voice faintly. Hey, yeah. I can talk for a minute. Her tone sounded softer than usual. I frowned slightly but pushed the thought away. A minute later she came back. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, she said quickly. Just a client. Good. She sat beside me again and rested her head on my shoulder. I can't believe we are getting married soon, she whispered. Me neither. Are you nervous? A little, I admitted, but mostly excited. She smiled. Me too. The next few days passed in a blur of wedding planning. Ryan came over one evening with a stack of papers. Bachelor party plans, he announced. Emily laughed from the kitchen. Don't do anything stupid. Ryan grinned. No promises. I shook my head. Ignore him. Ryan pointed at me. Hey, this is your last chance for freedom. Emily leaned against the doorway. He doesn't want freedom. Ryan looked at her and smirked. You're right. He's completely whipped. Ryan, I said. What? He laughed. Emily crossed her arms playfully. Adrian likes being whipped. Okay, that's enough, I said. They both burst out laughing. For a while, everything felt normal. Perfect, even. But small things started changing. Emily spent more time on her phone. Sometimes when I walked into the room, she quickly locked the screen. Who were you texting? I asked once. No one, she replied. You were smiling. It was just a meme. Can I see it? She hesitated. Adrian, she said with a sigh. Do you trust me? Of course. Then stop interrogating me. Her words stung more than I expected. I wasn't interrogating you. She rubbed her forehead. I'm stressed, okay? Wedding planning is driving me crazy. All right, I said quietly. Sorry. She forced a smile. It's fine. But the tension lingered. A few nights later, I woke up in the middle of the night. The bed beside me was empty. I heard Emily's voice coming from the living room. Soft. Whispering. I know, she said quietly. I stayed still, listening. You worry too much, she continued. There was a pause. Then she laughed softly. The sound made something twist inside my chest. I miss you too, she whispered. My stomach tightened. Another pause. Then I heard a name. Daniel. The word echoed in my mind like a gunshot. My heart started pounding. Daniel Brooks, she said quietly. I stared at the ceiling, frozen. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was about work. Maybe it meant nothing. I repeated those thoughts again and again. But sleep never came back that night. Because one question kept echoing in my mind. What if the woman I'm about to marry is lying to me? I didn't sleep much after that night. The name Daniel kept echoing in my head. At breakfast, Emily smiled like nothing had happened. Morning, she said cheerfully. Morning, I replied. She poured coffee and glanced at me. You look tired. Didn't sleep well. Wedding stress? She asked. Something like that. She walked over and kissed my cheek. Don't worry. Everything will be perfect. I forced a smile. Yeah, perfect. Later that day, I met Ryan for lunch. The moment I sat down, he frowned. Dude, he said. Why do you look like you haven't slept in days? I laughed weakly. Do I look that bad? You look like a zombie. Thanks. Ryan leaned forward. What's going on? Nothing. Adrian, he said slowly. I've known you for 15 years. That's not a nothing face. I shrugged. Just wedding stress. You sure? Yeah. Ryan studied me for a moment. Then he sighed. All right. But if something's wrong, talk to me. I will. I finished lunch quickly and headed home. Emily was rushing around the living room with her purse. Oh good, you're back, she said. Everything okay? I'm meeting the wedding planner in 20 minutes. Already. She changed the schedule. Need a ride? No, it's close. She grabbed her coat and moved toward the door. Wait, I said. Did you eat? I'll grab something later. Emily. Adrian, I'm late, she interrupted. Then she smiled quickly. Love you. Before I could respond, she was gone. The apartment felt quiet after she left. I walked into the kitchen to pour a glass of water. That's when I noticed her laptop sitting open on the table. The screen lit up. A notification popped into the corner. An audio file. I froze. For a moment I told myself to ignore it. Don't do this, I muttered. But curiosity pulled at me. Slowly, I stepped closer. The file name read, Meeting Notes. That's harmless, I whispered. My hand hovered over the trackpad. Just close it, I told myself. Instead, I clicked. The audio player opened. My heart started beating faster. This is stupid, I said under my breath. Still, I pressed play. At first there was silence. Then Emily's voice filled the room. She laughed softly. Relax, Daniel. My stomach dropped instantly. After the wedding, she continued, I'll have access to Adrian's money. My hands went numb. We just have to wait. I stared at the laptop screen, unable to breathe. Then a man's voice spoke. Low. Amused. You're sure he won't suspect anything? Emily laughed again. Adrian, please. I felt my chest tighten. He's so predictable, she said. He actually thinks I love him. The man chuckled. That's cold. Not really, she replied. He's just convenient. Every word hit like a punch. The man asked, So what's the plan after the honeymoon? Emily answered immediately. We disappear. My pulse pounded in my ears. He'll be busy playing the happy husband, she said. Meanwhile, I'll transfer what I can. And then I meet you. There was a pause. Then Emily spoke again, softer this time. I can't wait to finally be with you. My entire body went cold. The recording continued. Daniel Brooks, she whispered affectionately. Just a little longer. I slammed the pause button. Silence filled the kitchen. I stared at the laptop, hoping I misunderstood. "No," I whispered. My fingers trembled. Slowly, I pressed play again. Her voice returned. Mocking. Careless. Adrian will never see it coming. I stopped the recording again. My reflection stared back at me from the dark screen. For a long time I didn't move. Then I pressed play. Again. And again. Each time the words cut deeper. Convenient. Predictable. Transfer money. Disappear. Finally, I closed the laptop. My chest felt tight. I sat down slowly at the kitchen table. "Okay," I whispered. The apartment was silent. A few minutes later my phone buzzed. A text from Emily. "Meeting might take longer. Don't wait for dinner." I stared at the message. Then I laughed quietly. "Of course," I said. My voice sounded strange. Empty. I opened the laptop again. This time I transferred the audio file to my phone. Then I made another copy. And another. Just in case. When I finished, I leaned back in the chair. My heart hurt. But beneath the pain, something else was growing. Something colder. Something stronger. I whispered into the quiet room. "If she wants to play games." My voice sounded calm now. Then I finished the sentence. "Then I'll finish the game." For the next 2 days, I pretended everything was normal. Emily woke up beside me the next morning and stretched. "Morning," she said with a smile. "Morning," I replied. She leaned over and kissed me lightly. "Did you sleep better?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Much better." "Good," she said, sliding out of bed. "We have a lot to do today." "Wedding stuff again." "Always," she laughed. I followed her into the kitchen. She opened her laptop and started typing. "We still need to finalize the flowers," she said. "Do you like white roses or lilies more?" "Either one is fine," I replied. She frowned playfully. "Adrian, you have to care about something." "I care about marrying you." She smiled at that. "Well," she said, "the florist asked if we want a gold or silver theme." "Whatever makes you happy." "You're too easy," she teased. I watched her talking excitedly about table decorations and guest seating. Every word felt like poison in my ears. At one point she looked up and asked, "Did you invite Ryan's cousin yet?" "Yeah," I said. "Good." She reached for her phone. The screen lit up. For a split second I saw the name Daniel. She quickly turned the phone over. "Work again?" I asked casually. "Yeah," she said. I nodded slowly. Inside, my chest felt hollow. Later that afternoon she left for another meeting. The moment the door closed, I pulled out my phone. The recording was still there. I stared at the file. Convenient, she had called me. I opened my laptop and uploaded the audio to cloud storage. Then I emailed it to myself. Then I saved another copy on a flash drive. "Just in case," I muttered. By evening my plan was already forming. That night I texted Ryan. "Need to talk. Urgent." He replied immediately. "Bar at 8. Yeah. The bar was quiet when I arrived. Ryan was already sitting in a corner booth. He looked up when he saw me. "You look worse," he said. "Thanks." "I'm serious," he said. "What's going on?" I sat down slowly. "Ryan," I said, "I need you to listen before you say anything." His expression changed instantly. "Okay." I pulled out my phone. "Just listen." I pressed play. Emily's voice filled the small booth. "Relax, Daniel. After the wedding, I'll have access to Adrian's money." Ryan's face went completely still. The recording continued. "He's so predictable," Emily said. Ryan clenched his jaw. I stopped the audio. For a moment Ryan didn't speak. Then he slammed his hand on the table. "Cancel the wedding." People at nearby tables looked over. "Ryan," I said quietly. "No," he snapped. "Cancel it right now." "It's not that simple." "Yes it is," he said. "You tell everyone the truth and walk away." I shook my head. Ryan stared at me. "Adrian, what are you thinking?" "The wedding is still happening." Ryan blinked. "What?" The wedding, I repeated calmly, is still happening. He leaned back and stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Are you insane? No. She's planning to steal your money. I know. She's cheating on you. I know that too. Ryan rubbed his face. Then why the hell would you still marry her? I'm not, I said quietly. Ryan frowned. What do you mean? I leaned closer across the table. I mean the wedding will happen. And everyone will be there. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Adrian. Family, I continued. Friends. Co-workers. He stared at me silently. Then I said the final part. And Daniel. Ryan slowly leaned forward. What are you planning? I tapped my phone. This recording. What about it? I'm going to play it. Ryan blinked. Play it where? At the wedding. His mouth fell open. You're serious? Completely. Ryan let out a low whistle. That's brutal. She wanted a perfect wedding, I said calmly. She's going to get one. Ryan studied my face carefully. You've already decided. Yes. Nothing I say will stop you. No. He leaned back in the booth and stared at the ceiling. For a long moment he didn't speak. Then he sighed. All right. I raised an eyebrow. That's it. What do you want me to say? He replied. She deserves it. You're not worried. Oh, I'm worried, he said. This is going to explode. I know. Ryan looked back at me. Do you have the equipment? Not yet. He nodded slowly. I can handle that. You will. Yeah, he said. Sound system access. Microphones. Whatever you need. I felt a strange calm settle inside me. Ryan shook his head. You know, he said, this might be the craziest thing you've ever done. Probably. He extended his hand across the table. If you're doing this, I'm standing with you. I shook his hand firmly. Thanks. Ryan smirked slightly. Man, he said, that wedding is going to be unforgettable. For the first time since hearing the recording, my mind felt clear. Because now I had a plan. And for the first time in days, I finally felt in control. The week before the wedding felt like living inside a lie. Emily acted like the happiest bride in the world. One afternoon we stood inside the bridal shop while my mother studied a white dress. Oh my goodness, Mom said, covering her mouth. Emily, you look beautiful. Emily laughed softly. You're just being nice. I'm serious, Mom insisted. Adrian is going to faint when he sees you walking down the aisle. I forced a smile. I probably will. Emily turned toward me. See? He agrees. Mom walked closer and adjusted the fabric on Emily's shoulder. You two are perfect together, she said warmly. Emily slipped her arm through mine. I'm so excited, she said. 2 weeks feels like forever. Yeah, I replied quietly. Mom looked between us. Nervous? A little, Emily said with a laugh. You'll be fine, Mom assured her. Marriage is about trust. The word hit me like a punch. Emily squeezed my hand. Adrian trusts me completely. I nodded slowly. Of course I do. Every smile she gave felt like a knife in my chest. Later that evening Ryan called me. You find anything about that guy yet? He asked. I'm working on it. His name was Daniel Brooks, right? Yeah. Ryan snorted. Sounds like a villain already. I looked him up today. And? He works at Emily's company. Ryan paused. Seriously? Marketing department. Wow, Ryan muttered. That's bold. It gets better. How? He's invited to the wedding. Ryan burst out laughing. You're kidding. I wish I was. This is unbelievable, he said. I know. So the guy she's cheating with is literally attending the ceremony. Yep. Ryan whistled. That's some next-level arrogance. Or stupidity. So what's the plan now? He asked. The same plan. You're still doing it? Yes. Ryan chuckled quietly. Man, this is going to be wild. The next day he met me outside the wedding hall. The manager greeted us politely. Can I help you, gentlemen? Ryan spoke first. We are checking the sound system for the ceremony. The manager nodded. Of course. Follow me. Inside the hall, Ryan walked straight to the control booth. Nice setup, he said, examining the equipment. The manager smiled proudly. We host a lot of events here. Ryan pointed at the speakers. Everything connects through this console. That's right. Bluetooth compatible. Yes. Ryan glanced at me briefly. Perfect, he said. A few minutes later we stepped outside. Ryan grinned. Easy. You're sure? I asked. Completely. Good. Ryan leaned against the wall. Do you have the recording ready? 3 copies. Smart. I also saved it online. Ryan nodded approvingly. You're covering all the bases. I have to. He looked at me carefully. You holding up okay? I'm fine. You sure? Yes. Ryan studied my face but didn't argue. All right, he said. Just remember, once this happens, there's no going back. I know. That night Emily sat beside me on the couch. She curled up close and rested her head on my shoulder. You've been quiet lately, she said softly. Just tired. Wedding stress again. Something like that. She traced circles on my arm with her finger. You know what I've been thinking about. What? Our honeymoon. I forced a small smile. Oh yeah. Beach, sunshine, no stress, she said dreamily. Just you and me. Sounds nice. She looked up at me. Adrian. Yeah. I love you. The words felt heavy in the air. I can't wait to be your wife, she whispered. For a brief moment, my heart almost believed her. Her voice sounded sincere. Her eyes looked warm. Part of me wanted to forget everything. But then the memory returned. Emily's voice on the recording. He's so predictable. My chest tightened. Emily kissed my cheek. You're quiet again, she said. Just thinking. About what? I looked at her and forced another smile. About the future. She smiled happily. Me too. She rested her head against me again. I stared at the dark television screen across the room. Inside my mind, the recording played again. Every word. Every lie. And the anger returned stronger than ever. The morning of the wedding felt strangely quiet. Ryan stood beside me in the small dressing room behind the hall. You ready? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be. He adjusted his tie and studied my face. You're calm, he said. I feel calm. That's either impressive, he replied, or terrifying. I gave a small smile. Ryan leaned closer and whispered, You still have the recording. I tapped my pocket. Right here. Back up. 3 copies. Ryan nodded. Good. A knock came on the door. Adrian. My sister's voice called. Come in. Claire stepped inside and immediately wrapped her arms around me. Oh my God, she said. My brother is getting married. I laughed softly. Apparently. She stepped back and wiped her eyes. I'm proud of you, she said. For what? For building a life, she replied. Mom says Emily is perfect for you. Ryan cleared his throat awkwardly. Claire noticed him and grinned. Ryan, you clean up well. Don't get used to it, he said. She looked back at me. Are you nervous? A little. That's normal, she said. But trust me, today will be amazing. Ryan coughed quietly. Claire frowned. Why do you look weird? I always look weird, Ryan said quickly. She shrugged. Fair point. Someone knocked again. 5 minutes, a voice announced. Claire hugged me again. Good luck, she said softly. Thanks. When she left the room, Ryan looked at me. You okay? Yes. You still sure about this? I took a deep breath. Yes. Ryan nodded once. Then let's go. A few minutes later I stood at the altar. The hall was full. Friends, family, co-workers, everyone smiling. The music began. Ryan leaned toward me and whispered, "Showtime." Then the doors opened. Emily stepped inside. For a moment, the entire room went silent. She looked stunning. The white dress flowed behind her. Her smile was radiant. My mother whispered from the front row, "She's beautiful." Claire wiped her eyes again. Emily slowly walked down the aisle. Each step felt unreal. For a brief moment, I almost forgot everything. Then Emily reached the altar. She smiled at me. "You look nervous," she whispered. "Do I?" "A little," she said playfully. The priest cleared his throat. "Shall we begin?" Everyone quieted. The priest opened his book. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the union of Adrian Cole and Emily Carter." Emily squeezed my hand gently. The priest continued speaking. I barely heard the words. My mind kept drifting back to the recording. Finally, the priest turned to me. "Adrian Cole," he said, "do you take Emily Carter to be your lawful wife?" I felt every pair of eyes in the room watching me. The priest continued, "To love and cherish." I raised my hand. "Wait." The word echoed across the hall. The priest blinked in confusion. "Excuse me." Emily frowned. "Adrian." Whispers began spreading through the audience. "What's happening?" Why did he stop? Emily tightened her grip on my hand. "Adrian," she said quietly, "what are you doing?" I gently pulled my hand away. "Just a moment." I turned and walked toward the microphone connected to the hall speakers. Behind me I heard Emily say, "Adrian." Ryan watched from the side of the room. He gave me a small nod. My heart pounded like thunder. I picked up the microphone. "Thank you all for coming today," I said. Guests exchanged confused looks. My mother leaned toward Claire. "What is he doing?" Emily stepped closer to me. "Adrian," she whispered urgently, "stop joking." I looked at her calmly. "This isn't a joke." Her smile faded. "What do you mean?" I turned to face the crowd again. "There's something everyone should hear before this wedding continues." The room fell completely silent. Emily's voice sounded tense. "Adrian, what are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone. Then I connected it to the sound system. Ryan quietly adjusted the controls. Emily grabbed my arm. "Adrian, stop." I looked directly at her. "You wanted a perfect wedding," I said softly. "What?" "Now you're going to get one." Her face turned pale. "Adrian, don't." I pressed play. Emily's voice filled the hall. Clear. Unmistakable. "Relax, Daniel." The audience froze. "After the wedding, I'll have access to Adrian's money." Gasps erupted across the room. Emily's eyes widened in horror. "We just have to wait," the recording continued. A man's voice replied. "You're sure he won't suspect anything?" Emily's voice laughed softly. "Adrian, please." The crowd erupted into chaos. "What is that? Is that Emily? She's cheating." I turned toward the audience. Halfway down the aisle, a man stood up suddenly. Daniel Brooks. His face was pale. The recording continued playing. "He's so predictable," Emily's voice said. Daniel looked around in panic. Emily grabbed the microphone. "Turn it off," she screamed. But Ryan shook his head and kept the audio playing. Emily's voice echoed through the hall again. "After the honeymoon, we disappear." My mother gasped loudly. Claire covered her mouth in shock. Daniel slowly sat back down, unable to speak. Emily's face had completely lost its color. She looked at me with wide eyes. "Adrian," she whispered, "please." For the first time since hearing that recording, I felt something unexpected. Relief. The truth was finally out. And for the first time since the betrayal, I felt free. Emily lunged toward the microphone the moment the recording finished. "Turn that off," she screamed. Ryan folded his arms beside the control booth. "It's already off," he said calmly. Emily spun toward me with wide eyes. "Adrian, tell them this is fake," she demanded. I said nothing. The silence only made the room louder. Guests whispered all around us. Did she really say that? That sounded exactly like her. Oh my God. Emily grabbed my arm tightly. Adrian, say something. What should I say? I asked quietly. That it's not real. I looked at her. You heard it. That recording is manipulated, she insisted. Someone edited it. I tilted my head slightly. Who would do that? I don't know, she said quickly. But it's fake. Ryan laughed from across the room. Nice try. Emily turned toward him. Stay out of this. Ryan shrugged. Hard to stay out when you're planning to rob my best friend. Gasps spread through the guests again. Emily shook her head wildly. This is insane, she said. Adrian, please tell them the truth. I just did, I replied. Her eyes filled with panic. You're ruining our wedding. Our wedding? I repeated. Yes. You mean the wedding where you take my money and run away with Daniel? The name echoed through the hall. Several people turned toward the middle row. Daniel Brooks sat frozen in his seat. His face looked pale. Emily noticed the attention shifting toward him. Don't look at him, she snapped. Ryan stepped away from the booth and walked toward Daniel. Daniel quickly stood up. I should go, he muttered. Ryan blocked his path. Going somewhere. I don't know what this is about, Daniel said nervously. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Really? Daniel avoided eye contact. This is between them, he said. Yeah, Ryan replied, but you were part of the recording. Daniel swallowed hard. Emily shouted from the altar. Daniel, just leave. Ryan folded his arms. Not yet. The crowd watched the scene unfold like a movie. My mother stood from the front row. Her voice trembled. Emily, please tell me this isn't true. Emily turned toward her. Laura, of course it's not true. Mom wiped tears from her face. That recording. It's fake, Emily insisted. I stepped forward slightly. Emily. She looked at me desperately. Adrian, you have to believe me. Then explain something. What? Why did you say Daniel's name on the phone 3 nights ago? Her mouth opened. No words came out. The room became completely silent. Claire whispered from the front row. Emily. Emily's breathing grew heavier. Adrian, she said slowly, you're misunderstanding everything. I listened to the recording 20 times. That doesn't mean anything. Then explain it. She ran her hands through her hair. You're twisting things, she said. Ryan spoke from the aisle. Want me to play it again? Emily screamed. No. The outburst echoed across the hall. Guests stared at her in shock. Daniel tried to slip past Ryan again. Ryan stepped in front of him. Sit down. Daniel shook his head. This isn't my problem. Ryan leaned closer. You're in the recording. Daniel looked toward Emily. Emily, say something. Emily looked back at him helplessly. The silence stretched for several seconds. Finally, Daniel muttered, This is crazy. Ryan smirked. Yeah, cheating weddings usually are. My mother's voice cracked again. Emily, please. Emily looked around the hall. Every face stared at her. Some angry. Some shocked. Some disgusted. Her shoulders suddenly dropped. The panic faded from her expression. And something colder replaced it. She looked directly at me. You really want the truth, she said. Yes. She laughed bitterly. Fine. The word echoed sharply. Yes, she shouted. I cheated. Gasps exploded across the hall. Claire covered her mouth. My mother stumbled back into her seat. Emily pointed at me angrily. But it's your fault. My fault? I asked quietly. Yes. How? You're boring, she snapped. Predictable. Safe. Her voice grew louder with every word. You plan everything. You follow every rule. You're so dull. Guests stared in stunned silence. Emily continued yelling. Daniel is exciting. Daniel looked uncomfortable now. Emily didn't notice. You were just convenient, she said. Her words felt strangely distant. Almost like I was watching someone else's life. Your money, she added bitterly, made everything easier. A wave of murmurs spread through the audience. I felt something unexpected inside me. Not anger. Not sadness. Relief. The truth was finally out. I slowly reached into my pocket. The wedding ring felt heavy in my hand. Emily noticed the movement. Adrian. I walked to the altar and placed the ring on the wooden surface. The sound echoed softly in the silent hall. Emily's voice suddenly sounded small. What are you doing? I looked at her calmly. Ending this. Her eyes widened. Wait. I shook my head gently. Goodbye, Emily. Then I turned and walked down the aisle. Guests moved aside as I passed. No one spoke. Behind me, I heard Emily call my name once. But I didn't stop. And I didn't look back. 3 weeks after the wedding, Ryan knocked on my apartment door. I opened it and sighed. You again. He grinned. Miss me? Not particularly. He stepped inside anyway. Rude. I walked back to the couch. What do you want? Ryan dropped into the chair across from me. Updates. I don't need updates. You say that, he replied, but you're definitely curious. I'm really not. Ryan studied me for a moment. You look better, he said. I am better. You sure? Yes. I leaned back and crossed my arms. So, I said, what happened? Ryan smirked. See? Curious. Just tell me. He pulled out his phone. First thing, he said, that wedding video is everywhere. What video? The moment you played the recording. I groaned. Someone recorded it. Half the guests recorded it, he replied. Great. Ryan laughed. It's already all over social media. Fantastic. Millions of views. Even better. Ryan tilted his head. You're not mad. Why would I be? Your personal life is trending online. I shrugged. The truth is the truth. Ryan nodded slowly. Fair point. He scrolled through his phone. Now the interesting part. What? Emily's company saw the video. I raised an eyebrow. And? They started an internal investigation. That was fast. Apparently, workplace affairs between managers and employees are frowned upon. Managers. Ryan looked up. Oh yeah, he said. Didn't I mention that? Mention what? Daniel Brooks is her manager. I blinked. You're serious? Very. So the guy she cheated with is also her boss? Yep. I rubbed my forehead. That's messy. Ryan chuckled. Messy is an understatement. What happened next? They questioned both of them. And? Ryan shrugged. They couldn't deny it. So they both got fired. I sat quietly for a moment. Ryan watched my reaction. That's it? He asked. What do you mean? You're not celebrating. No. You're not angry either. Not really. Ryan leaned forward. Adrian, she tried to ruin your life. I know. And now karma is hitting her. I know that too. Ryan frowned. So why don't you look happy? I thought about it for a moment. Because I'm not. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Then what are you? Free. Ryan leaned back slowly. Huh. I grabbed a glass of water from the table. Anything else? I asked. Ryan nodded. Yeah. What? Daniel left her. I looked at him. Already. Apparently yesterday. Why? Ryan shrugged again. According to someone at their office, he panicked. About the scandal. Exactly. Ryan smirked slightly. Turns out Daniel Brooks has a wife. I nearly choked on my drink. A wife? Yep. That explains a lot. Ryan nodded. So when the video went viral, his wife found out. Ouch. Double ouch, Ryan said. She kicked him out. And then he dumped Emily. I shook my head slowly. That's unbelievable. Ryan crossed his arms. Guess betrayal works both ways. The room became quiet. Ryan looked at me again. You really feel nothing? I stared at the floor for a moment. Not nothing. What then? A sense of balance. Ryan tilted his head. Balance. Justice, I clarified. He nodded slowly. I get that. I leaned back on the couch. For a while, I said quietly, I thought revenge would make everything better. Ryan stayed silent. But it didn't. So why do you feel better now? He asked. Because the truth is out. Ryan considered that. You didn't destroy her life, he said. No. She did. Exactly. Ryan stood up and stretched. Well, he said, karma works fast these days. I gave a small smile. Ryan walked toward the door. Hey, Adrian. Yeah. You handled that wedding like a legend. I chuckled softly. I just told the truth. Ryan opened the door. Sometimes that's the most powerful revenge. After he left, I sat quietly in the apartment. For the first time in weeks, my mind felt calm. Because I finally understood something important. Revenge didn't heal my heart. But the truth gave me freedom. 4 months after the wedding, my life felt quieter. One evening Ryan called me. Adrian, he said, you need to leave your apartment. I leave my apartment. No, you don't, he replied. You go to work and come back home. That still counts. Not really. I sighed. What do you want me to do? Go somewhere new. Like where? Ryan paused. Try the bookstore on Maple Street. A bookstore? Yeah. Why? Because it's calm, he said. And you need calm. I thought about it for a moment. Fine, I said. I'll check it out. The next evening I walked into the small bookstore. A bell above the door chimed softly. A woman behind the counter looked up. Hi, she said with a friendly smile. Welcome. Hi, I replied. She closed the book she was reading. Looking for anything specific? Not really. She stood and walked over. Well, she said, that makes my job harder. I smiled slightly. What do you usually read? Honestly? I haven't read much lately. She tilted her head. Busy life. You could say that. She reached for a book on the shelf. Try this one, she said. I looked at the cover. What's it about? Second chances. I raised an eyebrow. That sounds suspiciously personal. She laughed softly. Maybe. I glanced around the shop. It's a nice place. Thank you, she said. You own it. Yes. That's impressive. She shrugged modestly. My name is Sophie, by the way. Adrian. Nice to meet you, Adrian. Nice to meet you too. I bought the book and left. But the next week I came back. Sophie smiled when she saw me. Back already. The book was good. I told you. She leaned on the counter. So, she asked, what do you do when you're not reading my recommendations? I work in finance. That sounds serious. It can be. She studied my face for a moment. You seem thoughtful. That's a polite way of saying quiet. She laughed. Fair. Over the next few weeks we talked more. Sometimes about books. Sometimes about life. One night she handed me a cup of coffee. Late customer bonus, she said. Thanks. She sat across from me at the small reading table. You always look like you're carrying something heavy, she said gently. I looked at my coffee. What makes you say that? I read people, she replied. Occupational hazard of owning a bookstore. Exactly. I hesitated. There was a wedding, I said slowly. Sophie waited quietly. A wedding that didn't happen. She nodded. So you were the groom? Yes. And something went wrong. You could say that. I exhaled. She cheated on me, I said. Sophie's expression softened. That must have hurt a lot. That was all she said. No questions. No gossip. Just empathy. I looked at her, surprised. You're not curious about the details. She shook her head. You'll tell me if you want to. That's it. That's it. For the first time in months, I felt safe talking. It was public, I admitted. Very public. Then it must have been humiliating. Yeah. She slid the coffee cup closer to me. I'm sorry that happened to you. Thank you. We sat quietly for a moment. Then Sophie smiled gently. You know something. What? Bad chapters don't mean the story is over. I looked at her. You sound like a writer. Just a reader. I laughed softly. As the weeks passed, I kept visiting the bookstore. Our conversations grew longer. Easier. One evening Sophie said, You smile more now. Do I? Yes. That's probably your fault. I'll take the credit. What I felt around her was different. Not the intense excitement I once had with Emily. Instead, it felt steady, peaceful, real. And for the first time in a long time, that was exactly what I needed. 1 year after the wedding, I walked into a small coffee shop near the bookstore. Sophie had texted me earlier. Running late. 5 minutes. I ordered 2 coffees and waited near the window. Adrian. The voice behind me froze my thoughts. I turned slowly. Emily stood a few steps away. For a moment, I barely recognized her. Her hair was shorter. Her expression looked tired. Emily, I said quietly. She nodded awkwardly. Hi. We stood there in silence. Finally, she spoke again. Can we talk? Part of me wanted to walk away immediately. Another part of me felt strangely calm. For a minute, I said. She nodded quickly. Thank you. We sat at a small table near the corner. Emily looked down at her hands. I wasn't sure if you'd even speak to me. I almost didn't. That would have been fair. I studied her face. You look different. She gave a weak smile. Life does that. I didn't respond. Emily took a slow breath. I wanted to say something for a long time. What's that? I'm sorry. The words sounded fragile. I know that doesn't fix anything, she continued. But I needed to say it. I watched her quietly. Emily wiped her eyes. That day, at the wedding. You mean the day you planned to rob me? I asked calmly. She flinched. Yes. Silence hung between us. Emily finally looked up. I ruined everything. You made choices. I know. Her voice trembled. I thought money would make me happy, she admitted. I thought excitement mattered more than stability. And I was wrong. I leaned back slightly. What happened after? Emily gave a bitter laugh. You probably heard most of it. Some. Daniel left almost immediately, she said. I know. He lost his wife too. I nodded. Rachel Brooks deserved better. She did, Emily whispered. Emily looked down again. I lost my job, she continued. Most of my friends stopped talking to me. That tends to happen. I deserved it. The honesty in her voice surprised me. Emily wiped another tear. I ruined the best thing in my life. I felt a faint echo of the old pain. For a moment, memories flashed through my mind. The apartment, the wedding plans, the laughter we once shared. But the feeling faded quickly. Because I wasn't the same person anymore. Emily looked at me nervously. Are you angry with me? I thought about the question. No. She looked shocked. You're not. I was, I admitted. For a while. What changed? Time. Emily nodded slowly. I wish I could go back. You can't. I know. Another silence filled the table. Then Emily asked softly, Are you happy now? Yes. That's good. She hesitated. Is there someone else? Yes. Her eyes watered again. I'm glad, she whispered. I studied her for a moment. You didn't ruin my life. She looked up. I didn't. No. I spoke calmly. You revealed the truth. Emily's shoulders shook slightly. I wish I had been honest sooner. That would have saved us both time. She laughed weakly through her tears. That sounds like you. Probably. Emily stood slowly. I won't bother you again, she said. I nodded. Take care of yourself. You too. She paused for a second. Adrian. Yes. I really am sorry. I nodded once. Then she walked out of the coffee shop. A minute later the door opened again. Sophie stepped inside. Sorry I'm late, she said. It's okay. She noticed my expression. Everything all right? Yes. Who was that woman leaving? Someone from my past. Sophie sat across from me. Do you want to talk about it? I already did. She smiled gently. Closure. Something like that. Later that evening we walked to the park near the bookstore. The sun slowly disappeared behind the trees. Sophie sat beside me on the bench. That sunset is beautiful, she said. Yeah. She nudged my shoulder. You're quiet again. Just thinking. About what? I looked at the sky. The worst moment of my life. That sounds heavy. It used to be. And now? Now I realize something. What? That moment saved me. Sophie looked curious. How? If that betrayal never happened, I said slowly, I would have built my life on a lie. She nodded thoughtfully. And now? Now my life feels honest. Sophie smiled softly. I like honest. Me too. She leaned her head gently on my shoulder. For the first time in years, the future felt simple. And this time, it felt real.